Welcome to the American Glutton Social Club, where we share your stories. Hi, Paige.
Hello.
Today's story is from Michelle. She says, I have dieted since I was 12 years old and am now 45. I've lost and regained enough to create two humans. This is, Paige, a crazy thing to consider, because I know for me and a lot of people, there's weight, what seems to be like an endless cycle of weight loss and regain and then loss again. And I certainly had decades of that. And when you imagine the total for the amount of weight you've actually lost, right? If you aggregate it, it's a lot. Like, I couldn't even come up with a number that sounded realistic to me, you know?
Yeah. I know you talked about something in a podcast, a recent one, where you were talking about that, also just doing something so monumental, losing such a large amount of weight, and then doing that again, and then doing that again, right? Or in varying degrees. And
because it's hard. It's like hard work, and then you get there and you're like, I did it. And then to be faced with doing it again it's wild, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Michelle says, January 2016, realizing I was turning 40 in May, I got scared, decided I needed to do something sustainable and get my health in check. She has lost 85 plus pounds. It's amazing. She says, I found a guy near my kid's school who taught lifting and started with him. Realized I finally found my forever exercise. This is really cool too, because I've tried a bunch of different exercises, and it can be like, if you are trying to do something that you hate, that's miserable. Like if you know, getting on an elliptical machine for you is like nails on a chalkboard, and yet you're trying to utilize that to assist in weight loss. It's like, there's other stuff out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe is the reverse of that, like, if you actually, there's something one likes to do, but you think, well, oh, I should do this thing, or someone said such and such is better. But like, if you like something more
I mean,
than
if
another,
you are, yes, totally. If you're already inclined to some type of active physical activity, for sure, you know, for somebody who has never been inclined towards physical activity, I would just say try lots of different stuff. But I think for somebody like Michelle, who has been dieting so much, and I think, as she'll continue talking about, doing different stuff, to find something that she's like, oh, I love this, that's a big deal. Okay. Sorry for all the asides. Let me keep reading. Prior, I would do lots of cardio, HIIT, that's high intensity interval training, boot camps, going from one to the other, burning out and giving up. Yeah, totally get that. It's brutal. I originally started with the keto diet, and it worked for me until it didn't. Understand that too. This way of eating gave me a bad relationship with food, and eventually I started to binge on things I was restricting. Determined not to give up or gain back what I already lost, did some research and found macro tracking. It is amazing too, because, like, you know, I think for somebody who's really passionate about exercise, and I know this isn't an absolute thing. Like, there are lots of guys who are keto and exercise a lot, you know, but like, carbohydrates are just super helpful in the gym. So tracking it and putting yourself into a caloric deficit that way, rather than this idea that if we just take carbohydrates out of it and eat fats, that we're going to innately not want to overeat. I don't know. I found it more workable myself this way. Learned about how you can't live in a diet, which I was doing and did off and on in my life. Became so passionate about it, I am now a certified macro coach in hopes to help others, since I've walked the walk. I also now went from lifting to getting into powerlifting and made some amazing PRs even at 45. My deadlift PR is 140 kilograms. dude, that's a lot of weight. And my squat is 112.5 kilograms. 140 kilograms is like 300 pounds. And
That's crazy.
that's insane. And 112 has got to be like 185 or something like that. It's a lot. No, sorry, not 185, 280. I don't know. I don't actually know. Whatever it is, it's for Americans, it's times 2.2. It's a lot of weight.
Well, and I'm going to show you a picture of her.
Okay, hold on. I'm not finished.
I'm not going to do it yet, but
okay.
she's lifting.
My benching is not as strong, but been dealing with shoulder mobility, 67.5 kilograms. That's a lot of weight. You are never too old or too late. My message is for women who lift weights, don't be afraid, especially as we age and lose muscle. Michelle, I love your story, and I love that you're hitting PRs at 45. That's incredible. And that you like became a coach and all of that. That's so awesome. Can we see, did she send pictures?
Absolutely. And a PR is personal record.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Okay. So yeah, check this one out, which will go right along with what we're talking about here.
Dude.
Pretty cool, right?
Michelle, that is awesome. That is so awesome.
So cool.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, really inspiring. And I appreciate as a woman hearing that because, it's again, something I've heard you talk about too. And women on the podcast have talked about, but weightlifting can get a bad rap for women. I think there's some information that's maybe not totally correct out there,
Yeah. Well, look, in a mild caloric deficit, there's like some magical, unless you're doing a bunch of drugs like steroids, you're not going to be building a ton of muscle and losing fat at the same time. That's just not happening unless it's like your first time lifting weights. You've never lifted weights before, and you go in and start lifting weights and go on a diet and you're in a caloric deficit. And there is apparently some magical window where you can build muscle and lose fat at the same time. Mm-hmm. So for anybody who's ever exercised before, this is not a potentiality for us. And so the idea of being in a restrictive diet and gaining muscle, that's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. You can gain strength if you don't exceed, I believe, a deficit of more than 500 calories a day. Now, again, none of this is absolutely true, but this is like, the way science works is they like aggregate statistical analyses. And of that, they go like, here's what's leaning towards truth. Mm-hmm. The majority of people who are in a caloric deficit are not gaining muscle mass. Mm-hmm. Could somebody do it? I'm sure they could. I couldn't, Mm-hmm. So for gals, if you're on a diet, there should be nothing at all scary about lifting weights. If you're having this thought of like, I don't want huge muscles, you're not going to get them. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're just going to really hold on to the muscles you have. It is possible to get stronger while in a caloric deficit. Anyway, I was just kind of backing up what you were saying. No need to be scared of resistance training.
Yeah. Here's another one.
Wow, Michelle, you crushed it.
Yeah. And I also appreciate her putting in like, just look at her on the right. She's got like healthy food at looks like some type of, farmer's market or something. It's just awesome. It's so inspiring. So
great.
Yeah.
So
really,
great.
Really awesome.
And I just want to say also that I'm not, and I don't think she was knocking necessarily keto. If keto works for you, great, do keto. For me, it wasn't the most useful of diets. I have lost weight doing keto, but it wasn't, I never really like had long-term weight loss doing keto. And so that's just my experience with it.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense.
Amazing.
Love it.
Michelle,
so cool.
Thank you so much for sharing your story.